Since we learned about the 1960s sugar industry conspiracy, they haven't stopped. They have gotten better, much better. The same companies that paid Harvard scientists to lie about sugar, they now have entire departments dedicated to engineering food that override your brain's ability to stop eating. They study your shopping patterns, track your eye movement, test thousands of flavor combinations, and use brain scans to optimize products for maximum addiction potential. Today, we're going to see how the food industry took their 1960s playbook and turned it into a science. And then we're going to learn how to fight back. Quick disclaimer before we start, I'm not a doctor or a nutrition expert. I'm just a regular person who got obsessed with these questions and started learning about it. So this is just me documenting what I found for other people who might be asking similar questions. So this is not a medical advice, just one curious person sharing her rabbit hole of curiosity. Before we dive deep into food, I need to show you how the tactics we discussed spread everywhere else. Because understanding this pattern helps you recognize it when the food industry uses it on you. Healthcare system now profits more from managing your disease than curing it. Social media platforms use casino psychology to keep you scrolling. Pharmaceutical companies medicalize normal human experiences. The same consulting firms that work with food companies, McKinsey, Bain, Boston Consulting Group, spread these behavioral psychology tactics across other industries. The food industry is still the masterclass in human manipulation. Everyone else is just copying their homework. So let's get back to the real story. How did the food industry evolve since that 1960s Harvard conspiracy? How did they perfect their trap? And most importantly, how do you escape when you're surrounded by foods that are literally designed to make you fat? The food industry now have the sensory labs that cost millions of dollars, where they test thousands of flavor combinations on focus groups while monitoring their brain activity with functional MRI machines. Companies like International Flavors and Fragrances employ food scientists whose only job is to create natural flavors. And those natural flavors trigger cravings more powerfully than the actual food they're supposed to taste like. That natural strawberry flavor in your yogurt, it is not from strawberries. It is a cocktail of dozens of chemicals designed to hit your brain's pleasure centers harder than real strawberries ever could. They track your purchasing patterns through royalty cards, study your eye movement in the stores, and test product placement strategies to maximize impulse buying. Since the 1960s, food scientists have perfected what they call hyper-palatable foods, products that combine sugar, salt, fat, and artificial flavor in combinations that don't exist in nature. Your brain evolved to feel satisfied after eating real food. But hyper-palatable foods hijack those satisfaction signals and leave them broken. Here is how it works. Real strawberries contain fiber, water, and natural sugars that triggers your body's "I'm satisfied" signals. But processed strawberry flavorings trigger the strawberry equals good response without any of the natural stopping mechanisms. So you can eat an entire package of strawberry flavored anything and your brain never gets the signal that you have actually consumed strawberries. You are still craving strawberries even though you have consumed strawberry flavored equivalent to dozens of real strawberries. They have created foods that trigger the reward without providing the satisfaction. It is like psychological torture disguised as convenience food. And this isn't accidental. Internal documents from major food companies show they deliberately designed products to have what they call vanishing caloric density, foods that melt in your mouth so quickly your brain doesn't register that you're consuming calories. Cheetos, cotton candy, and some breakfast cereals, they're designed to disappear before your satiety signals can activate. But the food industry's real evolution since the 1960s is in psychological manipulation. They now use neuroscience and behavioral economics to target your subconscious decision-making. Companies like Campbell's and Frito-Lay use brain imaging to test how different packaging colors, fonts, and images affect your purchasing decisions below the level of conscious awareness. They have discovered that certain color combinations trigger hunger responses that specific fonts make food seem healthier, that particular packaging shape make portions appear smaller than they actually are. They place products at specific heights in stores based on demographic targeting. Kid cereals at child eye level, health products in pharmacy section to seem medical, impulse snacks in checkout lanes where your willpower is lowest from decision fatigue. And now they have your digital data. They know when you're stressed from your social media activity, when you're likely to be hungry based on your location data, when you're most vulnerable to emotional eating based on your search history. They target you with food advertisement exactly when you're most psychologically vulnerable. Stressed at work? Here is an ad for comfort food. Late at night? Here is a delivery app notification. They have turned your own emotions into trigger systems for food cravings. But the most sinister evolution is how they target children. They now use what is called advert gaming, video games that are actually advertisements designed to create brand loyalty in developing brains. Children can spend hours playing fun games featuring cartoon mascots, unknowingly being programmed to associate those characters with specific food products. Their developing brains literally cannot distinguish between entertainment and advertising. And now they use child influencers on social media platforms to market directly to other children. Kids watching other kids eat branded snacks, thinking they're just watching fun video games, thinking they're just watching fun videos, while actually being exposed to sophisticated marketing campaigns. They're creating what researchers call cradle-to-grave customers. Children whose food preferences are programmed before they're old enough to understand they're being manipulated. The food industry don't just need to make food taste good. They need to make food trigger actual addiction pathways in your brain. They now design foods to spike your blood sugar rapidly, then crash it just as quickly, creating a biological cycle of craving that has nothing to do with actual hunger. Ultra-processed foods, anything with more than 5 ingredients, trigger dopamine release patterns in your brain identical to cocaine and gambling. But unlike cocaine, you can't just avoid food entirely. You have to eat something. So they have made the most convenient, affordable foods the most addictive ones. Try to find real food at a gas station, airport, or convenience store. Almost impossible. But you can find dozens of products scientifically designed to trigger cravings while providing minimal nutrition. They have essentially made food addiction the default option for anyone who doesn't have the time, money, or knowledge to seek out alternatives. If you're poor, busy, or uninformed about nutrition, you're automatically enrolled in their addiction system. Now you understand why the $72 billion diet industry has a 95% failure rate. People aren't failing because they lack willpower. They're trying to use individual discipline to fight industrial-grade psychological manipulation. It's like trying to quit smoking while living in a cigarette factory, where the air itself is designed to trigger nicotine cravings. The diet industry knows this. That is why they focus on restriction and willpower, rather than teaching people how to recognize and avoid manipulative food designs. A successful diet would eliminate customers. A failed diet creates repeat customers who blame themselves and try again with even more desperate measures. But once you understand you're not fighting food, you're fighting food engineering, everything changes. You're not trying to resist pizza. You're trying to resist a product that was scientifically designed by teams of food engineers, neuroscientists, and marketing psychologists to be irresistible. That is not a personal failing. That is a normal human response to abnormal food. Now, let's see how we can live as a normal person in a food environment designed to override our biology. Start with understanding the real enemy. It is not junk food or fast food, it is ultra-processed food, anything engineered in a lab rather than grown or raised. If it has more than 5 ingredients, if those ingredients aren't recognizable as food, if it needs health claims on the package, it is probably designed to manipulate your brain. Learn the ingredients' red flags. Natural flavors means chemically engineered to taste like food. High fructose corn syrup means designed to bypass your liver's natural sugar processing. Modified food starch means engineered for texture manipulation. If you can't pronounce an ingredient or if it sounds like it belongs in a chemistry lab rather than a kitchen, your ancient brain probably doesn't know how to process it properly. Master grocery store psychology. Stores are designed like casinos. The most manipulative foods are in the center aisles at eye level. Real food lives around the perimeter. Produce, meat, dairy from actual animals. When you enter those center aisles, you're entering enemy territory. Move quickly, stick to your list, and remember that everything is positioned to trigger impulse purchases. Decode marketing manipulation. All natural means nothing legally. Poison ivy is all natural. Heart healthy usually means processed with added marketing. Fat-free means replaced with sugar. Superfood is a marketing term, not a nutritional category. Real food doesn't need health claims. An apple doesn't have a commercial. Spinach doesn't need to convince you it's healthy. If a food product is advertising its health benefits, ask yourself, what are they trying to distract you from? Portion reality check. Food companies have gradually increased portion sizes while calling them single servings. A 20-ounce soda bottle is labeled as one serving, but it contains enough sugar for an entire day. Use smaller plates, smaller bowls, smaller cups. Your brain judges satisfaction partially through visual cues, so smaller containers help you feel satisfied with appropriate amount of actual food. Reclaim your kitchen. The more convenient a food is, the more likely it is designed for profit over nutrition. Ready-to-eat meals, grab-and-go snacks, anything you can eat while multitasking, these are engineered for mindless consumption. Cooking doesn't have to be complicated. Throwing vegetables and meat in a pan with salt and fat is cooking. Making a salad with real ingredients is cooking. The goal isn't gourmet meals. The goal is food that serves your body instead of food that serves corporate profits. Create eating rituals. Make eating an intentional act. Sit down, put away your devices, pay attention to taste, texture, satisfaction. Your body has a sophisticated system for telling you when you're hungry and when you're satisfied. But they only work if you're paying attention. Engineered foods are specifically designed to be eaten while distracted, while driving, working, watching screens. That way you consume more before your brain realizes what's happening. Build food community. Cook with other people, share meals, talk about food as nourishment rather than entertainment or reward. Real food culture is about connection, celebration, and nourishment. Engineered food culture is about isolation, convenience, and consumption. When you build authentic food relationships with other people, you become less vulnerable to manipulation designed to exploit loneliness and emotional eating. Understand food withdrawals. When you stop eating engineered foods, you'll probably feel worse before you feel better. This isn't failure, it is your brain recalibrating from artificial stimulation back to natural food rewards. Your taste buds have been hijacked by artificial flavors that are more intense than anything found in nature. Real food will taste bland at first because your brain is expecting the hyper-intense stimulation of processed flavors. This usually lasts about 2 weeks. Then your taste buds reset and real food start tasting like food again, instead of like disappointment compared to engineered products. Expect cravings. Your brain will demand the food it's been programmed to crave. This is normal. This is biological. Cravings are temporary. They feel permanent when you're experiencing them, but they actually last about 20 minutes if you don't feed them. Instead of fighting cravings with willpower, acknowledge them. Acknowledge them like by saying, my brain is just asking for a dopamine hit it got from engineered food. That is normal. I can wait 20 minutes and see if I still want it. And it will go away. Protect your children. If you have kids, understand that they are being targeted by billion-dollar companies with sophisticated psychological manipulation techniques designed to override parental influence. Limit their exposure to food advertising. Teach them to recognize cartoon characters as sale tactics, not friends. Help them understand the difference between food and food products. Create food education. Involve children in shopping and cooking. Let them see what real ingredients look like. Help them understand how their bodies feel when they eat real foods versus engineered products. Children who understand they are being targeted by manipulation become resistant to it. Children who think it's normal become lifelong customers. In some cases, or most cases, not always. The food industry is competing with you for your children's programming. Make sure they understand whose side you are on. Support real food systems. Buy from farmers market when possible. Join community-supported agriculture programs. Support restaurants that cook with real ingredients. Every dollar you spend on real food is a vote for a different kind of food system. Every dollar you don't spend on engineered products is a vote against manipulation and exploitation. Imagine a world where food nourishes people instead of addicting them, where children grow up with normal relationships to eating, where your grocery store serves your health instead of extracting profits from your vulnerabilities. That world is possible, but it requires choosing real food over convenient food, even when it's harder. You're not just changing your own health, you're changing the market signals that determine what kind of food system we all live in. The food industry has spent 60 years perfecting techniques to override your natural eating instincts. They have turned food into a drug delivery system designed to create dependency while providing minimal nourishment. But your body still remembers what real food tastes like. Your brain can still calibrate to natural flavors and natural satisfaction signals. Every time you choose real food over engineered products, you are taking back control from industries that view your health as less important than their profit margins. You are not just changing what you eat, you are changing who has the power over your body, your cravings, and your choices. Trust your body and remember, real food doesn't need marketing because real food works. This is The Pages. I'm Lumi, and I'll see you next time when I dive into some other curiosity rabbit hole.